hope you have your Bibles with you. Shabbat Shalom. This is no particular Shabbat. A lot of Shabbats have names. This Shabbat has no name. It's just one of those floaters that it's not a moed. It's not an appointment.
It's a moed.
But and not only that, the Torah portion is just kind of like one that people avoid. They just kind of gloss over it. It's no big deal to people. So, I don't have any big revelation for you today. I don't have a big picture for you. I'm going to teach on Amazing Grace. How, what's the word? Sweet. How sweet the sound. It's kind of weird. The sound. How sweet the sound. The sound of grace. It's not a sweet sound. That's like that song, Jesus, kneel above me. What's that? No, I believe that's wrong. It says, there's how sweet the name or something like that. Well, his real name is Yeshua. Yeshua. I can't even do it because it's ringing. Yeshua. Or Yeshua, which I can't even do. Yeshua or Yeshua. Can't figure out which. So that song where they're like, there's no sweeter sound than his name. That's what we should be singing. Yeshua. That's his name. Because that ayin is not silent. It's a sound. It's a guttural sound. All right. So that's what I'm going to teach on is grace. I'm going to teach on grace. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 3. And here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn that we have been communicated to wrongly about grace. And there's a whole message of grace. It has nothing to do with, I'm going to put it in quotes, church or Christianity or Jesus. There's a whole message of grace that has nothing to do with that, but everything to do with Yeshua. We need to turn this down just a hair. Everything to do with Yeshua. Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 23. This is the very first verse of the Torah portion. I also pleaded with the Lord at that time, saying, O Lord God, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your strong hand. For what God is there in heaven or on earth who can do such works and mighty acts as yours? Let me, I pray, cross over. And he says, let me go see, Israel. And God says, nope, you can't. Get up on the mountain, look north, south, east, and west. You can see it, but you're not going in. He's like, okay. Well, that very first word in the Torah portion, everybody skips over it because it says, at least in some versions, I besought the Lord at that time. And who knows what besought means? I besought the Lord. And people just skip over it. It's no big deal. So they don't get any big revelation from it or anything, even in nearing importance. This is still too loud. Can we turn it down in there? So some versions, NASB, New American Standard says, I pleaded with the Lord at that time. It's a little closer. It's still wrong. It's still wrong. It's not pleaded. It's not besought. So, being the curious fed that I am, I wanted to find out, just a hair. I wanted to find out, what is this? So I started looking at it. The word is, in Hebrew it says, the name of the Torah portion, the Etchanan. The Etchanan. Say the Etchanan. Now when you say Chanan, if you say Hanan, you're saying the Nan. Ha means the. So you have to make sure that you say Chanan, like a J in Spanish. Chanan. The Etchanan. Well, the means and. Et means in the past. Chanan is the root that he's talking about. So what I did was I Chanan. whatever that is. That's what he's saying. And I, Hanan, God, and said, oh, please let me go into the land. That's what he's doing. He's saying, I'm Hananing you, God. Please let me go into the land. So the root of the word is Hanan, number 2603. It means to bend or stoop in kindness down to somebody who's lower than you. It means literally to bend. Hanan means to bend or to stoop. To be favorably inclined towards someone, to favor. Now look at the words here. To favor, to pity, to feel desire or commiseration with someone. These are all wrong. This is from the Gesenius Hebrew Lexicon. They're wrong. I'll show you why I say that. To entreat for mercy, it's wrong. A compassionate lament for someone, it's wrong. That's six words. To make acceptable, that's right. All these other words, adjectives in here are not correct. They're just, old Germans from the 1800s trying to figure out what that word means in Hebrew. And he communicated as best he could. It's not bad, it's just not quite there. Acceptable is probably the closest one in these adjectives. To bend or stoop in kindness to someone, that is correct. That's absolutely correct. Now, I looked up the word plead because, it says, I pleaded with the Lord. So I looked up the word plead and pleaded. One verse uses the same word, Hanan. One verse. And it's in Esther chapter 4, verse 8, when she goes to the king and she Hanans the king to be able to have a party, have a big party, a big drinking party. And then the word pleaded, past tense, there's only one that has this root of Hanan. Now there's 30 verses that say plead, and there's 5 verses that say pleaded, but only one of each has the word Hanan in it. Let's look at that one in Genesis chapter 42, because it's important to understand what this word means. And this verse will help us understand what the word itself means. Genesis 42, this is about Joseph. I think I lost 2 pounds while we were worshiping. I lost breakfast in a good way. 42:21. Then they said to one another, this is the brothers of Joseph talking about Joseph. They said to one another, truly we are guilty concerning our brother, because we saw the sorrow, the distress of his soul, when he Hananed us. He's down in a pit. They're up on the top of the pit. They just threw him in, and he's stooping to someone who's lesser. You see how that's strange? It does mean to stoop to another, to give something to somebody who's below you. That's what he was doing. He was saying, I don't know what he said, but he's basically saying, guys, God's going to hate you for this. He pleaded for them. He Hanan for them. He showed grace. He wasn't begging for grace. He showed grace to his brothers who just threw him in the pit. So if you can figure out that this word means that, bending down to somebody lesser, it puts a different light on what he did. It doesn't mean to plead. It means to show mercy or kindness or grace. That's what Moses did. Moses wasn't begging from his daddy to let him go into the room, that the daddy doesn't want to let him go in the room. He's saying, God, here's the grace. The grace is, let me go in and see the land. And God says, no, we're not going to do that. Now there's one verse that has what I would translate this same word, the Etchanan, in Hebrew. By the way, there is a Hebrew Matthew from way before the 1600s. Most people think it's from 1600s, but it's not. It's way before that, from the 1st century. Matthew chapter 18. I would use this same exact word. The Etchana. Matthew 18:29. Elon, can you do me a favor? Can you grab my glasses from the Tully bed? So let's go back to verse 27. The Lord of that slave felt compassion and released him and forgave him the debt. But that slave went out and found one of his fellow slaves, thank you, who owed him 100 denarii, and seized him and began to choke him, saying, "Pay back what you owe." So his fellow slave fell down and began to entreat him. This is the word etchana, the etchana, and he, whatever that is, he graced him. That's how we translate it.
There's 2 noons at Hanan.
There's 2 noons at etchana. Yes, one right after the other. I don't know. I can't go into that right now. I've got a whole thing here. Sorry. Why don't you research it and see what you bring to me about it?
Eventually.
Okay. So when verse 29. So his fellow slave fell down and began to the etchana, saying, "Have patience with me and I'll pay you back." He's not begging. It's not begging.
Mine says beseeching.
Yeah, beseech, besought. Beseech is the same word as besought. Beseech is present perfect. Besought is past tense. And that's King James. We don't know what that means. But we know what plead means. But now we know, at least I hope you can see, plead is not a good translation. Beg, beseech, besought, they're not good translation. It's something having to do with mercy, pity, desire, grace, compassion, something like that. Okay, so there's derivatives of this word, chanan. Chen, say chen. Chen literally means grace. It just means grace. Chen is a derivative. Chanina, chanot means graces. Yechanenu, shichanenu, it's plural. Chinam, tchina, and techanonim, plural. And they all mean whatever this means. Whatever it means, that's what they mean. They all mean the same thing. The only one that we know for sure is chen, the smallest one. What does chen mean?
Rain.
That's the only one we know for sure. Now, let's go to Exodus 33. You know, usually we get into the Torah portion or deep into it, get some big revelation. I can't even get past the first word of this Torah portion, right? I can't even get past word 1.
That's right.
Chapter 33, Exodus 33, verse 19. This is when God describes, that's not a good word either. This is where God shows, reveals, exhibits, describes himself and his nature to Moses. Verse 19. I myself will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before your face. And I will be gracious. This is the word chanan. This is the word chanan. I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious. I will be chanan to whoever I'm chanan. And I will show rachmanis, compassion, on whom I will show compassion. So God says, I'm going to show chanan to whoever I want to show chanan. That's my nature. Let's go to Psalm 4. Now, we're going to be in Psalms for a bit because there's lots of verses using this word in the Psalms. People read the Psalms. Oh, did you ever see Monty Python and the Holy Grail? There's this, they have these cartoon animations in the middle of it, throughout the thing.
Yeah.
And it shows like an old English illuminated Bible page, and it shows God showing up to David. And God says, always complaining, always moaning and begging for help. And he's mocking David because David is always begging and pleading. He's always chananim.
Right.
Well, people read this word, how it's translated in English, and that's what they end up with. Quit begging, quit pleading. It's not that. It's something else. Something else entirely. So I'll just read a few of them. Psalm 4. I almost wrote a song with the word Hanan in it a bunch of times, but I decided I didn't have time this week. 4:1. Answer me when I call, O God, with my righteousness. You have relieved me in my distress. Show Hanan to me and hear my prayer. Be Hanan to me. Be Hanan to me. Hanan me and hear my prayer. Hanan me. Whatever that means. Now it says basically the same thing in 6:2. Be gracious to me, O Lord, for I am pining away. Heal me, O Lord, for my bones are dismayed. Well, that word be gracious to me, it's Hanan me. Hanan me, God. It's not begging. It's not, oh God, oh please, my life is so horrible. Please do something about it. It's not that. It's be Hanan, because that's who you are. Now remember, Joseph is in a pit, looking up at his brothers who just threw him in, Hananing them. Whatever that means. And then in 67:1, basically he says the same thing. 102:13 through 14. Let's look at this one because this is about Zion, about God's feelings for Zion, for Jerusalem. It's a fantastic passage. Why am I guys there? Psalm 102. What does it say? 102:13. Thank you. You will arise and show Hanan, or be Hanan, to Zion. For it is time to be gracious to her, to be Hanan to her. For the appointed time, the moed has come. Let's read that again. You, Lord, will arise and be Hanan to Zion. It's... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Thank you. This is the wrong word. This is compassion. This is chesed. You will arise and have chesed on Zion. For it is time to be Hanan to her, because it's the moment, the appointed time. You will arise and have chesed on Zion, and be Hanan, because it's the time. The time has come for it. I love this verse. I think this verse is appropriate right now. And I believe that conference, or whatever that is that they're having with Paul Wilbur coming in, this is the verse that defines it, to try to turn the body of Messiah's heart toward God's heart. And this is God's heart. The moment, the time has come for God to be Hanan to Israel. So that tells me it's time for us to be Hanan to Israel. Whatever that means. Does that make sense? Because it says the appointed time, the moed, the appointed time, the appointment has come for it. And I believe that time is now. Now it says basically the same thing in 123:2, which is the words shichanenu and then chanenu. Chanenu means be Hanan to us. Be Hanan to us. Nu means us. And then Isaiah 26:10 uses the word yuchan, which is a derivative. 27:11 says the same thing. Let's look at that one because it's important. Isaiah 27:11. Let's read from verse 10. For the fortified city is isolated, a homestead forlorn and forsaken like the desert. It is not describing the land of Israel. It's describing the human beings of Israel. It's not describing the land. It's describing people. The fortified city is isolated, a homeland forlorn and forsaken like the desert. There the calf will graze, and there it will lie down and feed on its branches. It sounds like it's talking about a place, but it's not. When its limbs are dry, What's limbs are dry? What's limbs are dry? The city, the homestead, the city, the homestead. Makes it sound like it's talking about a place, but it's not. When the limbs of that, whatever that is dry, they're snapped off. Women come and make a fire with those limbs, with those branches. For they are not what does it say? What does it say? What does it say? Are you looking at your Bible? What does it say? Nobody's got a Bible? If you don't have a Bible, you can't follow. You guys got to have a Bible. Look at it on something, iPad or phone or a book. For they are not a people, it says. A people. How can a city and a homestead be human beings? But that's what it says. Now this is what Paul is quoting in Romans chapter 11. He says in Romans 11, there's a natural olive tree and there's an unnatural olive tree. And the limbs were snapped off from that olive tree. And he says, because the limbs were snapped off, he showed you Gentiles Hanan.
Right.
And that's what it says here. Therefore their maker will not be Hanan on them. Sorry, this is the word chesed again. Will not have compassion on them. And their creator will not be Hanan to them. This is talking about the people of Israel. They're dry limbs. They're snapped off. Therefore he can take another limb from a Gentile plant and graft it into the natural olive tree. This is what he's quoting. This is what he's teaching from in Romans chapter 11. And in that passage it ends with this. Therefore, Gentiles, be afraid. Because if God, without blinking, snapped off his own children
Right.
from the natural olive tree, how much easier is it going to take you to snap you off, Gentiles? You don't even belong in there.
Right.
And yet, because of Hanan, he took the Hanan that he was showing to Zion, and he gave it to you. He gave it to Gentiles. This blows my mind as a Jew. He took the Hanan that burns inside of him for Israel, and he took it away. Like it says in the passage, he will not be Hanan to Israel. He took it away, and he put it on Gentiles, some of them, for a while, if they do the right thing.
Yeah, right.
Think about that. For a while, if they do the right thing. That's what it says in Romans 11. But, think about how easy it would be to snap them right back off and get those natural olive branches and put them where they belong, which is what God is doing. He doesn't have to snap Gentile branches off. He can, but he doesn't have to. He's now getting those branches of Israel from the natural olive tree and graft it. He doesn't even have to graft it. All he has to do is put it next to each other, and they're like magnets, and they stick because it's natural. Now, derivative names in the Bible using this word Chen or Hanan. Hana, which is not Hana, it's Hana. If you say Hana, you're saying the pleading. The word na really does mean plead.
Right.
Hoshiana, which does not mean save now, it means we're pleading for salvation.
Right.
Na means to plead or to ask for. So if you say Hana, you're saying the plead, the ask.
The please.
But it's Chana, which means grace. Chinon, which they translate the Bible Chinon. Chinon, same word. Chaniel, they call it Chaniel. Hanani, which is Hanani. And then this is my favorite. They say in the Bible Hananiel, which is not even close. It's Hananel. What do you think Hananel means? Hananel. What does El mean?
God.
It means God is Hanan. God is, whatever that word is, grace. God's full of grace. That's what Hananel means. Hananya Hananiah, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, 3 children who was in the fire. It's not Hananiah. It's Hanan Yah. Yah is God's name. So it's Yah is Hanan. Yah is grace.
That's right.
He, not full of grace, not gracious.
He is.
He is grace. That's what he is. Just like he says, my name is Kinah, because I am Kinah. Kinah means jealous. My name is jealous because I am jealousy. Incarnate. I'm jealousy incarnate. I'm jealousy. I am jealousy. I am Chana. I am grace. And then Yochanan, which they have really flatlined into John.
Right.
John isn't even close. Yochanan. Now, Yo is just like Yah, the name of God. Yochanan. It's the same, means the same thing. God. Yah is Hanan. He is grace. So it went from Yochanan to John. So I looked at these names and I went, say what? Because I looked at Jusinius and Strong's and I looked up at, what it says they mean. The word Yochanan, it says whom God gave. How do you say gave in Hebrew?
Natan.
Natan. So God gave would be Nathanael. Nathaniel.
Right.
Nathanael. Hanan, we already know what that means. They translate it as merciful. Merciful is not Hanan. Merciful is chesed.
Right.
The word that you pointed out twice. Chesed. Doesn't mean merciful. It means whatever Hanan means. Hananel, which God gave,
No.
that would be the same thing as whom God gave, which would be Nathanael. Hananiah. They say it's whom Yah gave. Now at least they give God his name. Whom Yah gave. Not correct. That would be Natanya. Natanya. My daughter's name is Natanya, which means given by Yah, or whom Yah gave. And Hanani, they say it means favorable. Doesn't. It means
Mine.
grace
My
to
grace.
me. Hanan to me. Or I am
Graceful.
grace. One of those two.
Yeah.
So they miss it entirely.
Yeah.
All right? Go to Zechariah chapter 4.
More reasons to find out why your Bible is
Zechariah chapter 4. By the way, we haven't gotten to the teaching
later.
yet. I'm just teaching you some vocabulary right now.
Yeah.
We're not to the teaching yet. We're almost there. I don't want to go to the next slide, because it'll give away the punchline. I don't like anything like punchline. Zechariah chapter 4. The angel who was speaking with me returned and roused me as a man who was awakened from sleep. And he said to me, "What do you see?" And I said, "I see." I like that. God says to him, "What do you see?" And he says, "I see." That's good. That's important. He doesn't say, "Well, I see," and he gives him some big description. First he says, "I can see." So God has given him eyes to see, and he can see. And then God says, "What do you see?" And then he starts describing it. He says, "I see. And look, a lampstand, all of gold, and its bowl on top of it, and its 7 nerot on it, with 7 spouts belonging to each of the lamps which are on the top of it. And the 2 olive trees by it, one on the right side of the bowl and one on the other, on the left side." So here's the bowl, the geula. Here's the pipes that are feeding oil from the 2 olive trees. Here's the nerot, the lamps on top of the menorah. Verse 4, then I answered and said to the angel who was speaking with me, saying, "What are these, my Lord?" "What are these?" These. This, and this, and this, and the branch, and the branch, and the pipes, and the nerot, and the menorah. What is those? What is all of this stuff, my Lord? Verse 5, so the angel who was speaking with me answered and said to these, "You don't know what these are?" I like that too. You don't know what these are? And I said, no, my Lord. Then he answered and said to me, this is the word of the Lord. This is the word of the Lord. Not, this is the word of the Lord, and the Lord says unto thee. He says, what are you seeing? I don't know. I don't know what it is. You don't know what it is? No. What is it? This is the word of the Lord. You want to know what the word of the Lord looks like? It looks like this stuff. It's complicated. There's a lot happening. And now he tells them what all of this sums up to be. Verse 6, then he answered and said to me, this is the word of the Lord. To Zerubbabel say, which is what it says in Hebrew, to Zerubbabel say this. It doesn't say, this is the word of the Lord. The word of the Lord is to Zerubbabel saying, it's not that. It's this is saying this. Tell Zerubbabel, not by might, nor by power, but by my Ruach, says the Lord of hosts. What are you, O great mountain, before this guy Zerubbabel? You will become a plain. It's a flat place. And he, Zerubbabel, will bring forth the top stone with shouts of, Chen! Chen! Grace. Grace to it. Hen. Henla. Hen. Chen. Henla. Grace. Grace to it. This means that. All this stuff means Zerubbabel, whoever you are, you're going to bring the top stone to the temple. Don't think pyramid, because I know some of you were thinking pyramid already, because it said top stone. Don't think like that. Think of a big rock that's rectangular, and it's the last stone on the top of the temple. You put that last stone on, and whoever it is will say, Chen, Chenla, grace, grace to you. That's what this is. Now the word Chen, we translate it as grace. Amazing grace. To me, that's flatline. It's just empty. I mean, I know it's like the foundation of all hymns for 85 billion people. I don't care. It's flat. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound, who saved an idiot like me. It's true. It's true, but it's flat. Because grace is not sweet and delicious. It's not. Grace is this. It's intense. It's bright. It's oil and bowls and trees, olive trees that pump out oil. And a menorah, which is the Spirit of God. It's bright, it's shiny, it's gold, it's detailed, it's complicated. It's not, thank you, O Lord, that you showed grace unto me. And yet, that has become not just a standard song, it's become a culture.
Yeah.
It's created a culture. Not just a song, but what created the song and the ideas of what grace means. It doesn't mean what we've been taught it means. It doesn't. And here's the weird part. Favor, kindness, beauty, pleasant, precious, well-favored. Now these words, I looked them all up. And guess what? 172 times grace, chen, chana, shows up in the Old Testament. Only 120 times in the New Testament. So why do people think grace is a New Testament concept?
That's right.
Started
Started in the garden.
172 times it shows up in Hebrew and only 120 times in Greek. Now, granted, the New Testament is shorter than the Old Testament. However, There's only one word for grace in Greek. I think it's charis, C-H-A-R-I-S, like charisma, charis. But there's a lot of words in Hebrew. They all have the same root, chanan. But I showed you all the words. But they're all the same meaning. 172 times. So why do Christians, I put that in quotes, why do Christians not know that grace was given to the Jews?
Is it a replacement theology?
Michael?
Now I just heard because of replacement theology. So the question for me is, how did this culture of replacement theology develop? Where did it come from? Well, this got cut off, but what it says is, so how did this word become a Christian concept? How did it become a Christian word instead of a Jewish word? Because I got news for you. You go into church, you go in the synagogue, you go in the temple. Sorry, not the church. You go in the synagogue, you go in the temple, or shul. They hate the word grace. I hated the word grace. I hated it. Jews hate it. It has nothing to do with us. It is a Christian word, Christian concept. It has nothing to do with Jews. That's your fault, guys. That's your fault. That's the church's fault. That's Gentiles' fault. What you got to do to try to turn this tide, this gigantic ship that seems to be slowly turning, you want to be a part of that, you're going to have to change the way you think. You got to change the way you think. You've been told a lie, in my opinion. You can believe me or not believe me. In my opinion, we've been told a lie. And that lie is what I ended up believing as a Jew. Grace has nothing to do with Jews. God is our God. He loves us. We got him in our blood. Grace is like Jesus Christ. It's flat dry. Now this is what's in our minds. They won't tell you this, but I'll tell you. It's very effeminate. It's very touchy-feely. And God isn't like that. God is a man of war. He's strong. He's passionate. He loves Israel. But grace, that's for the Gentiles. So we have to find a way to figure out why this happened. Why? It's 172 times in Judaism. Don't do that right now, please. Please. And 120 times in the New Covenant. And why it changed. Why it switched. So I did as good as I can do. This isn't perfect by any means. By the way, this is the teaching now. Now we're doing the teaching. Now we're doing the teaching. Let's go to John chapter 1. If you don't have a Bible, I think that is not a great idea because it's hard to follow. If you don't, and you're just looking at me and looking at this, it's not going to tell you what you need to see. You got to see these words. Hanani. You got to see these words. John chapter 1, verse 14. And the Word became flesh. This is my favorite verse in the New Testament, except for Colossians 2, 16 and 17. The Word became flesh. That is, it changed my whole life. But look at the rest of the verse. And dwelt among us, and we saw his glory, glory as of the only begotten from the Father, full of Hanan and Emet, full of Hanan and truth, full of grace and truth. The Word became flesh, and it was full of grace. What became flesh? Which is what? What word became flesh?
The Messiah?
No. What word became flesh? The Torah, the Tanakh, the Old Testament. That's the only word there was. There was no New Testament. The Old Testament became a guy, and he was full of Hanan or Chen. Excuse me, Daniel. Can you please stop doing that right now?
I'm thinking this.
I need you to pay attention, please. I need them to pay attention to this, please. Please. I'm asking you nicely. So, the problem with this is this. I say, even to you, I said, what word became flesh? And some of you thought, Jesus, the Messiah. That's circular reasoning. The Torah became flesh. The Tanakh, the Old Testament became flesh. And the Tanakh, was full of Hanan, grace and truth. But if you just look at the Word became flesh and you just leave it there, and Jesus is full of grace and truth, completely wrong. The Torah, the Tanakh, is full of grace and truth. All right, verse 16, and it says in 16, "For of his fullness we have all received, and chen upon chen, grace upon grace." Not because Jesus died for your sins, because the Tanakh became a dude and showed what the Tanakh is. You can see it. He was right there. There's the Tanakh walking around. Man, it sure is full of grace. In fact, chen on top of chen, Hanan on top of Hanan, grace on top of grace. That's how amazing the Tanakh shows God to be. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Verse 17. "For the Torah was given through Moshe, grace and truth was realized through Jesus Christ." Now, I just read it the way it's read, but here's what it really says. "For the Torah was given through Moshe, and Hanan and Emet were realized, were embodied, and karne, like meat, like a human being, in Yeshua," which is saying the same thing. The Torah became flesh. Now, all these verses that I've listed here are a journey into replacement theology. And I'm going to show you why replacement theology became the thing that has stolen from us grace belonging to the Jews, not to the church. Grace belongs to the Jews, not to the church. The church is those unnatural branches that just because God is so full of Hanan, they got plugged in to the tree. So let's go back and read it the way the Gentiles read it. "The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we saw His glory." Whose glory? The Word's glory. What Word became flesh? Jesus Christ became flesh. He was there in the beginning, and then He became flesh. That's what they think. Not what it says, but what they think. And then in verse 16, "The fullness we have all received, grace on top of grace because of Jesus." Grace on top of grace. Grace on top of grace because of Jesus. "For the Torah, the law, was given through Moses, but grace and truth through Jesus Christ." That's what happened. That's how they read it. Grace is only in Jesus Christ because Moses is opposed to Yeshua. Moses over here, law, bad. But Jesus Christ, full of grace and truth, good. And so then they get to Romans and they read it the same exact way. From the very beginning of the book, they read it this way. Have read it this way. Romans chapter 3, verse 24. "Being justified as a gift by His chen, His grace, through the redemption which is in Christ Jesus." No law there, only Christ Jesus. "Which God displayed publicly as a propitiation." I don't even know what these words mean, honestly. But it says it there, that grace comes through Yeshua only. Romans chapter 4, verse 16. "For this reason is by faith, that it might be in accordance with grace, in order that the promise may be certain to all the descendants, not only to those who are of the Torah, bad ones, but also to those who are of the faith of Abraham, the good ones, who is the father of us all." So that split started getting wider and wider. Moses bad, Christ good, law, grace. And now a dichotomy starts to develop. Law over here, totally opposed to grace over here. chapter 5, verse 2. Well, verse 1. Therefore, having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Yeshua the Messiah, through whom also we have obtained our introduction by faith into this grace, in which we stand, and we exult in hope of the glory of God, only through Yeshua the Messiah. Chapter 5, verse 15. Verse 15. But the free gift is not like the transgression, for if by transgression of the one, that's Adam, the many died, how much more did the grace of God and the gift of the grace of the one man, Yeshua the Messiah, abound to the many? So, Moses, not even in the picture anymore. The law, not even having anything to do with Yeshua, if you read it that way. If you don't know how to read the New Testament, which is a Jewish book written by a Jew to Jews using Jewish terminology. Yes, sir?
If you substitute the word Torah for Yeshua right there, you get a better understanding.
Yes, if you replace the word Torah for Yeshua, you get a better understanding. Or Tanakh, because the Tanakh became flesh, of course. And you can do that with all these verses. That's how the book started in John.
The dichotomy won't be there.
Right. The dichotomy disappears. Verse 17, for if by the transgression of the one death reigned through the one, much more those who receive the abundance of grace of the gift of righteousness will reign in life through the one, Yeshua HaMashiach, the one. One way. I'm not saying there's more than one way, I'm just saying that it's creating a wedge so that you can't see that one way in the Tanakh. Verse 20, and the law, here we go again. Let's go back to the law. The law came in, why? So transgression might increase. What did law bring? In the verse, what did law bring? Transgression. What is transgression? Sin. The law brought sin. You see? See? The law brings sin. Better be careful. And the law came in that their transgression, that sin might increase. But you know what? Where sin increases because of that evil Moses and evil law, grace much more abounds through Jesus. That wedge is so deep now, you can't break it. You can't break it.
I will reserve, that the law, God gave the law so we can see that we're sinners because we can't keep the law. And then that's why Yeshua, Jesus, came.
Yes. However,
That's the typical explanation.
I'm trying, but that explanation comes from all these things I'm showing you.
Right.
That's the end of the story. I'm trying to get us back to the beginning and walk us through the story. Okay, did we do verse 21? That as sin reigned in death, that's the evil law, even so grace might reign through righteousness to eternal life through Yeshua the Messiah, our Lord. And now, that wedge is so deep there's just nothing you can do about it. Because you've got law on one side and grace on the other. And who wants that? Everybody's going to go running to the good one, not to the bad one. Then we come to Romans chapter 6. This is where it happens. This is the biggie. That's why I put it so big. This is the biggie. If you cannot understand the New Testament because you don't know the Tanakh, this one is the nail in the coffin. The nail in the coffin being law over here, Jesus over here, and never the twain shall meet. Oil and water, milk and meat. Romans 6, verse 14. Sin shall not be master over you, because you are not under law, but under grace. So you see, law is not chen. They're opposites. Oil and water. You're not under law, you're under chen. So then why does it say 172 times chen in the law? You see our problem? It's all a merry-go-round. It's called circular thinking. Once you get on that merry-go-round, you go in a circle. and there's nothing you can do about it. You've got to get off the merry-go-round and look at the merry-go-round and go, oh, well, there's a lot of parts to that.
Right.
Verse 15. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under law, but under grace? God forbid. We have to be good boys and girls because we're not worried about the law anymore. Now we're under Jesus. But let's be good anyway. Because we can sin, there's going to be grace. So let's do the best we can. Stay off the grass, cross your T's, dot your I's, watch your P's and Q's, don't cuss, be nice. We'll make it. That's all we got left. That's all there's left. This is why I told you in the beginning, I don't have some big revelation for you this week. I don't. I'm just looking at one word, the ekchana. And look what it's turned into. A circus. Galatians. Now, if you've got your doctrine down tight and you know the New Testament and you love Jesus and you've come into the camp of grace and you've left law, then you get to the book of Galatians and you know what it means. That's for those Jews. We don't have to worry about it. This is about those evil Jews. Galatians 1, verse 6. I'm amazed, Jews, that you are so quickly deserting Yeshua, who called you by the grace of Messiah for a different gospel. What's wrong with you, Jews? You're going back to the law. That's how it's read. It doesn't say anything like that. In fact, it's going to freak you out, but if you want to, you can do your own research and prove me wrong if you want. The book of Galatians is about Hellenized Jews who were turning back to Hellenism and doing Jewish stuff at the same time and going, I've got my tallit on, my kippah, but I love me some Pope. I love me some Pope, baby. I love Hellenism. I love sin. And nobody's going to turn me away from it. But on the outside, look like a Jew. But I love Hellenism. It calls it philosophy. It calls it the empty concerns of men, which is elsewhere defined as, guess what? Philosophy. Greek philosophy. Do your own research and you can find out that that's what this book is about. It has nothing to do with Jews doing Judaism so they can see Yeshua. Nothing whatsoever. Jews doing Judaism so they can see Yeshua. Let me say that again. Jews and Gentiles doing Judaism so they can see Yeshua. Has nothing to do with that. That's what we're about. Galatians chapter 2, verse 21. I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the Son of God, who loved me and delivered himself up for me. I do not nullify the grace of God, for if righteousness comes through the law, then Christ died needlessly. It says Christ 3 times, in case you didn't get the message. Christ, 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 law. In case you didn't get the message. So this dichotomy just gets deeper and deeper and deeper as you go through the book, the New Testament, if you don't know the difference. So I'm going to say the phrase again. What is our goal? What are we doing? We are Jews and Gentiles doing Judaism so we can see Yeshua. Do Judaism so you can see Yeshua. That's why God gave it. But people don't know that. So they have a dichotomy. Law over here, Judaism over here, Christ over here. Oil and water. And it is so wrong. It's so deceptive. It's so painful to God's heart. Because God's heart is, I'm going to show Hanan to Zion. Because it's time to. Ephesians chapter 2. Verse 8. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not Not of yourselves as the gift of God. Everybody knows this verse. I've heard this verse 1,000,000,000 times, and yet I've never heard anybody say it with any understanding. They say it as if it's to bring somebody to salvation. It's not. By chen, you have been saved. Where does chen show up more? Where does chen show up more? In the Tanakh. You got saved through that chen that you saw in the Tanakh. You saw it in Judaism. You saw it in the Bible. There was no New Testament when this was written. It was just a Tanakh. You were saved through that chen that you saw in the Tanakh. And that wasn't from yourself. It's a gift. That chen was a gift of God for you to see. What did the angel say to Zechariah when he showed him all this crazy stuff? What did he ask him? What do you see? And Zechariah goes, I don't know. After he said, I see. But then he says, I don't know. But before he said, I don't know, he said, I see. So God gave him the gift of sight. He saw it. Didn't mean he understood it, but he saw it. So the Gentiles and the Jews who Shaul was talking to in Ephesians, they saw that gift of grace of Hanan in the Tanakh. They did Judaism and they saw Yeshua. But people read this and they just rattle it off like a freight train. I can't even do it because I don't even know it that well. For by grace you've been saved, not of yourself, as a gift of God. For by grace you've been saved through faith, not of yourself, as a gift of God. People rattle it off. You don't even think about what they say. And then Jacob and 1 Peter, they're the only ones who quote a verse that has grace in it. The only ones. And yet, you don't hear them quoted, you hear Paul quoted about grace. But Jacob and Peter, they're the only ones who quoted grace. Quoted verse with grace in it. Chapter 4, verse 6. But he gives a greater grace. He gives more grace. That's why it says in the Tanakh, God is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Where does it say that? Anybody know? No? Oh well. Well, he just taught from the Bible, quoting the Tanakh about grace, and we don't even know where it is. That's not good. Psalms somewhere. 1 Peter chapter 5. He does the same thing. Peter does the same thing. In chapter 5, he says,
Psalm 138.
You looked it up. Psalm 138. 1 Peter 5. By the way, I do that. I'm just saying we don't know, because that's what pastors and teachers and preachers are supposed to do. They're not supposed to say you, they're supposed to say we, which I think is nonsense. I knew that verse. If you know it, you know it. If you don't know it, you don't know it. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5. You younger men likewise be subject to the elders, and all of you clothe yourself with humility towards one another. That's why God is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. What's he quoting, everybody?
Psalm 138.
Same verse, Psalm 138:6. Same verse. But they're the only two that quote a grace verse in the New Testament. So why are people quoting the New Testament about grace?
They've been lied to.
Because of replacement theology. Now, if you can understand what I'm saying, and I know it's a long shot. I know it is. Because I'm teaching you something nobody's ever told you before, number one. And number two, I'm not teaching it in a way that you're used to. I'm teaching it over here in the law camp. I'm not teaching it nicely and gently in the grace camp, which is what you're used to. So I know this, I'm presenting a challenge to you. I know I am. I'm not ignorant of what I'm doing. I'm doing it on purpose.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's go back to the beginning. So what does this word really mean? The ekchana. And I And I besought the Lord, and I said the following. So what does it really mean? I was looking for grace with God. I was seeing grace with God. Why? Because God is holy. That's his nature. So what this verse really says is, I know what God's like, and I thought I'd use it against him. That's what he's doing. He said, God, you're so nice. You're such a nice guy. Can you let me into the land because you're like that?
Right.
And God's like, no, we're not going to do that. Sorry. He's not punishing him. He's not torturing Moses by saying, thou canst not enter, thou wast a bad boy. He's saying, no, work with me on this. You know I'm gracious, but you got to do the right thing. And he did. So, yeah, I'm gracious. That's bottom line. So I would translate it, it's really hard to translate, and I graced with God. That's how I would translate it. I graced with God. Whatever that is, like a conversation about grace with God. Very difficult to translate it. I know this, I know it means grace. 138 times in Tanakh, I gave you the wrong number. It's 138, not 172. I lied to you, sorry.
138?
It's because I'm wrong. It's 138, I recounted. 138 times in the Torah, in the Tanakh, 120 times in the New Testament. Still more. So I had to look up all these words. Grace, gracious, graciously, plead, pleaded, pleasant, favor, mercy, merciful, precious, well-favored. That's how this word Hanan is translated. I think this is ridiculous. I think it just confuses us. It doesn't let us know what's really going on here. So I looked every one of them up. By the way, I'm horrible at math, so you might check my math. See if it's really 138. So, the word favor, Noah, it says, and God gave grace to Noah. And God gave grace to Noah. And then Lot is saying, oh please, don't send me out to the out there because it's horrible. Send me to those caves over in Zoan. Yes.
One thing about the word Noah in Hebrew, Noah, it's hand backwards.
Ooh, very good, thank you. He said the word Noah is chen backwards. Chen Noah.
Oh, it is.
It's backwards. It's exactly the same letters, only reversed. Thank you. Noah and chen. So, Lot is beseeching God. He's asking for grace. He's looking at the grace of God. He says, God, show me grace and don't send me over there because it's horrible. Send me over there to Zoan. It's a small place, send me over there. And God shows him grace.
You have 152 there.
Say it again.
That's 152.
This is 152 words?
Yep.
Wow. Thank you. My math is awful. So now we're up to 152 again. All right, so now
I said to say it's a bunch.
Abraham is, the three angels or God or whatever it was come by, and Abraham starts talking to the Lord. He says, God, show me grace. I'm going to talk to you about these homosexuals over here. Don't fry all of them. Please. And he starts bargaining. Ends up with 10. Goes from 50 to 10. But it's because he says, God, show some Hanan. I know you're full of Hanan. Show some Hanan for these homos. Please, don't fry them. Genesis 39. This is the one I showed you about. No, this is a different one. This is about Joseph. It says, and he was shown chen by the Gentiles, by the Egyptian leaders, by Potiphar. And he said, you know what? I'm going to show you chen. You're going to take care of my whole house. And it's the word grace. Shown by a Gentile to Joseph. This is the story of grace in the Bible. The story of grace doesn't start in in Matthew chapter 1. It starts in Genesis chapter 1. And it ends, not in Revelation, it ends in the last book of the Old Testament, Second Chronicles. That's where it ends. The last book of the Old Testament is not Malachi, it's Second Chronicles. The order is wrong. Well, you can say Malachi if you want.
Right.
It ends in Malachi. And then the New Testament just goes, hey, remember?
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just a bunch of Jews teaching, hey, remember the Tanakh it says this, and the Tanakh it says that, the Tanakh it says this?
Yeah.
That's what grace is.
Yeah.
Nothing is explained at all. Nothing is explained in the New Testament. It's all explained in the Old Testament. And then in the New Testament, we get reminded. Yes, sir.
I've got a question bothering my mind.
Go ahead.
Explain to me Rachem and Han. What's the difference?
Rachem and Hanan, they're two totally different words. Racham means the inner stomach or kidneys or guts. And it's the word for compassion. When I was a kid, my mom used to say, oh, I had such rachmanis on that person. It's the same word, rachmanis. And it means what it means is to overturn that space. So it says in the Bible sometimes, my compassion, my heart is overturned with compassion. Well, it's not hard, it's here. That's different from chen. Chen is, remember, from a bigger to a smaller. And there's 2 verses in Proverbs and 1 in Daniel that say, the righteous man shows Hanan to the poor, because the poor is down here. And the righteous man bends down and helps. And that's what God is.
Giggle down.
Helping people who are poor down there. Now, as far as I'm concerned, the church got that right. It absolutely is correct. They say grace, and what they mean is, God, you saved a wretch like me. That is correct. The problem is, it's centered in the New Testament, instead of centered in the Old Testament where you can see it and have it explained. Let's pray. Father, thank you for sending your Tanakh in flesh to exhibit, to show, to display your grace, your chen, and your emet, your truth. And I thank you that your Torah, your Tanakh, is full of grace and truth. And that's why when it became a human, it was grace and truth. Grace on top of grace on top of grace on top of grace. And I thank you for showing us ridiculous little humans grace from heaven. I thank you, Abba, that you love Jerusalem, you love tzion, you love Zion. Your heart is full of Hanan for Jerusalem. And I ask that you would pour out that heart, because that is your Ruach HaKodesh, that's your Holy Spirit. I ask that you pour it out on us, pour it out on your body, pour it out on the Messianic Jews, pour it out on the Gentile part of your body, so that we can come together with that clear and undiluted understanding of what Hanan really is. You showed it to your people over and over and over. Grace on top of grace on top of grace. Through all the judges, through Moshe, through Joshua, through all the judges, through the prophets. You showed it over and over and over and over. And I thank you, Abba, for your hand. Amen. Shabbat Shalom.